Hello and welcome to a very special episode on our YouTube channel. PropEquity recently partnered with Forbes Global Properties, the exclusive real estate partner of Forbes for real estate development asset management in India. The Forbes Global Properties CEO, Mr. Michael Jalbert, was in India to announce this partnership, and the PropEquity team met up with him and spoke about the genesis of the company and future growth plans in India. In the video, I have shared some very valuable macro luxury market insights, and very soon we will do a detailed and informative video on the luxury and super luxury market in India.
And welcome. And today on this very special day, we have the privilege of having Mr. Michael Jalbert. Michael is the CEO of Forbes Global Properties, and welcome to the program, Michael. And thank you for sparing time for this interview.
You're very welcome. Nice to be here.
We also have with us again a very special guest, Samir Jasuja, who's the CEO and the founder of PropEquity. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, and pleasure to be here with Michael.
On that, I want to start by asking you, Michael, you have had such a diverse career. You have started with your career with FMCG and then finally moved to property, into real estate. So what, in a personal level, what was this move for, and how has it actually enabled you to be able to help you with the property business?
That's a great question. So I started my career right out of university with Pepsi. And spent about 14 years there. And it was frankly a fabulous experience. Very disciplined company, very entrepreneurial. They'd throw you in a pool if you could swim. They'd pick you up and throw you in a bigger pool. And just when you thought you get settled, you get put in a bigger pool. So it was a great opportunity to learn and to frankly understand how to run and lead a business. So really moving around from one vertical to another was based on strong experiences and relationships with accomplished HR executives. So I got dragged into a company called Allied Signal, which is now Honeywell. And then I ultimately got recruited into a company, at the time it was called Sendent, then it became Realogy, now it's called Anywhere. But at the time I was recruited there, their number one HR officer was a former PepsiCo colleague. And that's how I started in real estate. I was executive vice president of another company. Eventually, the board of Forbes Global Properties approached me, where I was at about 2 years ago, and asked me if I'd be interested in this opportunity. And frankly, at first you don't even take those conversations seriously. But as it grew and I understood what they were doing here, this has proven to be, frankly, an outstanding opportunity, and I'm very excited to be part of Forbes Global Properties. Our founder and co-founder have deep real estate experience, Jeff Hyland and Bonnie Sellers. And they looked at the opportunity a few years ago, and specifically Jeff, who owned and ran with Rick Hilton a very large brokerage in Beverly Hills, California. So they reached out to Michael Federley. They had a relationship with him, who is the CEO of Forbes Media. It's rich history, It's 106 years old. Started out as a magazine company. And the focus of Forbes was always on people. So as Forbes has developed over the years, really in the last decade, they made a big bet probably 10, 12 years ago and really went full throttle into a digital presence. So not only is there a magazine, it's a huge digital presence, and there's still about 80 in-person conferences around the world annually that Forbes has. So when you leverage that with Forbes Global Properties, it's an incredible halo effect that you have. So as you can imagine, as I travel around the world and talk to good folks like Samir and yourself, I don't have to tell you who Forbes is. And here we are, we're young, Forbes Global Properties. We're 3 years old, but we're right now in 26 countries. We've got 550 offices. We've got 17,000 agents. And we're delighted to be started here in New Delhi, India.
Lovely to hear. In fact, on that note, I want to first get in and understand from you what is the size of the luxury market globally, And what of that have you managed to capture, if I may use the right word?
Sure. Well, we're by no means the biggest. We're young, but we're very focused on what we would call the high net worth and the ultra high net worth buyer and seller, the consumer, and their interest in property. There's 2,400 tracked billionaires in the world. What's interesting in terms of how do we leverage against that, Forbes.com has 150 million discrete visitors a month, okay, which is a huge, again, let me say that again. Forbes.com has 150 million discrete visitors a month.
So on this point, I'm going to come back to the network program to you, but first I want to go into Samir, because we've just discussed the how large the luxury market from the perspective of Forbes Global Properties is. Samir, tell us, you have great insights and immense data on India. And so what is the luxury market in India, and do you have any thoughts of how this can be taken forward with the new partnership coming through?
Absolutely. So India in 2018, above $1 million, sold in the under construction market only about 5,000 units, totaling to about $5 billion. That market today has grown to $12 billion.
Wow. And
it is more than doubled. And in 2023, India sold over 13,000 under construction properties, over $1 million. So the market, luxury market, super luxury market in India, which was pretty dormant before COVID, has really taken off and has doubled in market share. And many developers today are launching and planning to be in the luxury and super luxury brands and launch products for the HNIs and the ultra HNIs of this country. And not only that, there is over 20% of NRIs who are high net worth individuals who are buying real estate in India, thanks to the rupee depreciation to the dollar and Indian economy doing so well that many people want to come back and they want a lifestyle and they want a good product. And I think Forbes has got a tremendous opportunity to leverage in India, with the economy doing so well, with the luxury market being at its peak that it's ever been in the history of India, and the real estate market's also doing very well. 2023 has been the best year with respect to sales of under construction properties, and overall in tier 1 cities alone, over 550,000 units have got sold, going over $120 billion. That's the size of the market. And out of that, it is very important to note that the super luxury market is 10 to 15% of that. And that used to be a paltry 3 to 4%. So that's the kind of exponential growth super luxury and luxury has seen. And as you can see, especially in tier 1 cities and in NCR and Mumbai being the hubs of super luxury segments, you have the top 5 developers of each city only concentrating on this segment as we speak.
Wow. In fact, I think this is a good segue to bring in this question, which I want to ask both of you separately. There are already players like Sothebys and Berkshire here, and they are also doing similar work and capturing similar market. So how do you intend to be different? What are the offerings, some of them which you could reveal, and how do you think you're going to take them on?
Well, the first thing I always try and understand is the metrics of positioning. And on a global measurement by Meltwater International, we came back with a share of voice of 78%. The next closest was 12. So what we're really all about is helping our clients position how do they want to sell their property. So we're by no means the oldest, we're by no means the biggest, but when it comes to leveraging the brand and the voice and the positioning of who's going to see your property, we have a pretty good story to tell.
True that. And as Samir beautifully put it, with all those numbers, is that the market is really big and of course expanding exponentially. So Samir, what do you think as the partner in this entire partnership?
So,
how we can
I'd like to say 2 things. That one is that Forbes is looking at India in many verticals as offering of services. which is not being done by, say, a Sothebys, right? This, like, for example, development asset management. And now it is being at the right time, at the right place with the right brand, that you will be able to exponentially increase business over here. Because in 2015-16, for example, a lot of brands came in. The Armanis came into real estate. The Versaces came in addition to the Trump Towers and some other brands as well. But that time, the timing was not right. And now, the timing is perfect. The Indian real estate cycle has turned for the positive finally after 7-8 years. The luxury market, as I mentioned, has grown twofold, and this industry has all got very professionalized and developed over the last 5-7 years, especially. The journey started from opening up a foreign direct investment in India from 2007, and then, like every other industry that opens up, there are certain additional hiccups, and then you get over those hiccups, and that's when the opportunity presents itself to be able to maximize and leverage the strengths that you have in the industry itself. So that, what I feel, is a perfect timing. Forbes is one of the biggest global brands in the world, and nobody needs an introduction for that. And the market is big enough for 2 to 3 players to survive, and many other players have left the country with a little bit of a bad feeling that they didn't succeed. So now is the time to be here, and India's growth story with respect to the GDP growth and the real estate growth, and India is supposed to have a $1 trillion contribution from real estate alone to its entire GDP. That's 25% of the GDP of the entire country is going to come from real estate by 2030. So that's the opportunity size that we are talking about, and luxury being 15% of that in the near future and growing. I think there's an endless amount of opportunity and place for many players, and we hope Forbes is going to be number one in that space because of the brand that it has already and the leverage that it can do. A Berkshire, for example, is Mr. Warren Buffett's company, highly respected. But with respect to knowledge of Berkshire being in real estate, or it not being a media company, can't leverage itself as much as a Forbes will be able to do, even compared to Sotheby's for that matter.
What is it that the network program is about? You have, you've planned this entire thing out. What are the affiliates supposed to do? What are the services that you're offering in markets? Are they different in different markets? Yeah. Has that been planned out? And how do you expect the network companies and the affiliates to work with each other?
Thank you. Great question. First and foremost, we try and position our network members in a way where they can really enjoy the leverage of who we are. What that means, first and foremost, is all of their prime or luxury properties will be ported up to ForbesGlobalProperties.com and be part of this beautiful luxury magazine type experience. High resolution pictures, stories. We have a chief content officer who's got content team of editors and writers where we write lovely articles about our members, their towns, their cities. Perhaps there's a mogul buyer or a celebrity seller that we talk about. But really, it's not a property portal. When you come to ForbesGlobalProperties.com, you only see our members' prime properties. And the nice part about that is when a viewer wants to click on a property and learn more, it comes right back to our member and their agents in terms of direct leverage. That's the first point. The second point is it's about getting listings to be successful in the real estate business. If you control the listings, you control the market. So now it's about really educating our member and their teams about who is Forbes Global Properties, what is India Forbes Global Properties, why should a seller care, what are the values that they're going to see as a result of that. So educating them about Forbes.com, 150 million viewers a month. How do they see your property? And really, it's giving the confidence to the seller that this is who I should give my listing to.
The second part of my question, Michael, was about the services that you offer.
Yeah.
So what are the unique services that you're bringing into India? And how are they different from the other countries that you may have started?
Well, first of all, our job is to support the local partner in terms of what they do and leverage us into what their positioning is. So our services are Again, the global site, Forbes Global Properties, about putting the properties up there. It's about organizing introductions and training and how to leverage the brand. But I think our secret weapon, honestly, is because of our roots as a media company. Again, I have a content team, which is unique to any other network in the world.
Just to add to that, we have 3 big local classified portals, and each of them gets over 100 million unique customers a month. And that's probably 100 times more the amount the properties that are sold in the market. Only 3% of the Indian market invests in the stock market. The rest of the investors, over 70% of them, are hardcore real estate investors. They've hardly ever lost any money in this asset class. Like we will probably do some videos on the compounding real estate has had in terms of exponential price appreciation on a year-on-year basis over a 20-year period or a 10-year period. Their faith in reinvesting in real estate more and more is highly visible. That's why for the last 5 years, the number of units that get launched, the sales are much higher than that. So we don't have enough supply in the market now to be able to meet the demand.
Samir, I would like you to tell us about the service that we are tying up for, and to the common person, because it's going on a consumer platform, what all does that service entail?
So one of the verticals that we are partners with is on the real estate development management side. This is an asset light model where we lend the Forbes name. We look at the entire sales and marketing of a particular project. We look at the development of that project by hiring professionals and probably lending that name that people have trust on. Forbes stands for an ultra luxury brand and a luxury brand. So the confidence with respect to a customer is extremely high on day one. And today in India, after a little bit of a perfect storm that got created because developers could not execute projects, currently the Indian customer wants a branded product with the confidence that it will get delivered. And that's why the Real Estate Regulation Act got set up, and every state now has a RERA. So India is moving towards regulation in a very big way, and that is also benefiting the sector. And more and more corporates with big names have come into real estate development, and they don't understand much about real estate development because that is not their forte. So they're also looking to partner with brands such as Forbes and like Trump Towers to be able to leverage those brands to a real estate customer who will then be willing to pay a higher premium because there's such a big brand attached to it. And that for an Indian is a very big thing. So from a social status point of view, living in a project which is branded in a particular way is probably the most important factor for a rich Indian to be able to demonstrate that he has arrived. And that's what we would like Forbes to be able to present to the ultra HNI and HNI segment, that if it's a Forbes project, it is for the people who have arrived, and they should look at the best quality product which Forbes stands for, and they will believe in that on day one when they buy the project. And we will ensure that the project is world class, delivered at the highest standards with respect to whether it's development, sales and marketing, whatever you have it, we'll ensure that that happens.
The fact that you have certain processes that you have already started in different countries. Now, will those processes and guidelines be replicated in the new countries that you go? Would that be something that you will own and supervise, or do you leave it to the local partners to be able to be flexible in the way they pan out the services involved?
Yeah, so probably 2 parts to that answer. One part is we have very specific guidelines that we have to follow in terms of how do we leverage the brand and how do we leverage the services. So yes, we're going to bring some consistencies in terms of who we stand for, how we operate, but we also have to make sure we leverage locally so it works as best as it can here.
Okay, so the premise would be the same, and then there's customized, bespoke flexibility built in depending on where you're going, in which market you're going.
As long as it always fits with the brand.
With the main brand. Got that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Coming back at, one of you can take this question. There are a lot of very established developers in India with big names. I think one of which Samir just mentioned. how do you plan? And they would, be conditioned to be able to do a lot of work on their own. So how would do you have a thought of how you want to bring them on board as well to start the services that you're looking at?
Well, what I would offer is, if we expect in India to have the same result that we've had in Portugal, Turkey, the United States, you name the country, city, what we have is a fabulous relationship with local developers in terms of how we partner with them, help them leverage their best product with our best ability to reach the audience that they're trying to sell that product to. And we have had incredible success with developers understanding the value add that we bring and really aligning with what they're trying to accomplish. And I would hope we'll have the exact same success here in India.
And I'd just like to add to that, in the last 3 to 4 years, there are about 5 or 6 companies which have become much larger players in the brokerage business, where they've really taken advantage of some consolidation, and they've tried to build a brand and become the sales and marketing arm of the developer. And the developer is the best outsourcer in the world. He outsources design to an architect, he outsources construction to a contractor, and now for the first time I'm seeing that he's more than happy to outsource the entire sales and marketing to a particular company. And that helps both parties, because the sales and marketing is then standardized. He's not being able to acquire that right kind of talent to be able to sell well, and he's willing to pay that extra. And that team, after his project is done, he may not have another project to sell, so he has to disband the team. Whereas Forbes can come in, take over the project sales and marketing, and then move to project number 2. And from the experiences that it has, after selling multiple projects, all those experiences can be bought in, and that is very important. And the other point that I'd like to make, that in this $100 billion market, these 6 to 7 players today have reached about 8 to 10%. And what they're doing is they're also associating the mom and pop shop brokers over here, associating them with themselves, because they have big problems in being able to recover monies when they do 1 booking or 2 bookings from a developer. And when you have a full-fledged sales and marketing arm of a developer who is ensuring that all sales are done or receivables are being taken care of, and they'll take care of the small brokers, so then you build a small network within that city itself, and then replicate it for multiple cities, and then benefit the developer and benefit yourself as well. So it's a win-win situation, as Michael was always putting it, that it's a win-win situation for a developer. And with Forbes as a brand being associated with the developer, and here developers till now have been using the international architects only, not because we don't have good architects nationally, but because they want to get a brand associated with the development so that it sells better. They want to get the best master planner in the world to come and develop the development only because they can put his brand name on top of their brochure, because that helps sell well.
Okay, this all sounds very, very positive, and I'm sure it'll do very well. But before I wrap up, one last question to both of you. We've been talking about the positives. What do you foresee as any impediment or challenge, entire thing panning out in the next few years?
So one is that the Indian real estate market, unlike many other markets, is not an exclusive market like the US, for example. So when in the US, a person is looking to sell a property, he signs up with one agent. Whereas in India, the seller typically used to work with multiple brokers, and there was no exclusivity. But I'd give a lot of credit to Sothebys, for example, in the luxury segment. They've come in the last 6-7 years, and they've tried to change all that. So the seller has got multiple brokers chasing him and willing to do a deal at 1%. But a Sothebys now today says that we will, to visit your property, charge a fee, and we will take double of that, and it has to be an exclusivity. So the market is really changing, and they're okay with that. They're okay with that trust, and they believe that the broker will be able to get them a better deal. So 1 or 2% doesn't really make a difference. So the market dynamics are changing in favor of branded players like Sothebys or Forbes or Berkshire for that matter, and there are not too many players in the residential real estate sector. When we look at the commercial office space sector, yes, there are big international property consultants like Richard Ellis, Cushman Wakefield, JLL. But you know what? The Indian real estate market, 90% of it is residential and only 10% is commercial.
A non-exclusive listing sells slower and oftentimes for less of a price than an exclusive listing. Because what happens when you give me an exclusive listing is I'm now capable and confident to tell the whole world and market your property. And if you then think about an exclusive listing with Forbes Global Properties, with our platform, our viewership, our reach to exactly who you want to tell your properties for sale, you'll sell your property faster and for a higher price with an exclusive listing. We have a mindset of abundancy, and almost chaos is our friend. If there's some destabilizing things going on in the industry, we put our head down and focus and try and advance. We're always about growth and focus. So we accept the fact that there'll be ups and downs, there'll be bumps, there'll be things you have to pivot against. That's the real estate industry.
We hope you enjoyed the video, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon for notifications.